sure I've been here before. It's spring 2024 and we are back out in the garden, albeit in warm clothes. Not that warm yet. So we're going to take you around the line and see what's changed since we last filmed anything, because we have done some things that haven't filmed it, which is maybe not great, but they are only winter projects, so they're not massive things we've done. And we'll also find out what's lived and what hasn't in terms of the planting, because we go for put things in and see if it survives, and if it does, we'll maybe get more of them if we like it. So we'll go around and have a quick look at what's missing and what isn't, and what's grown. What has arrived are some buildings. Got these second hand. Most of them are sort of concrete construction of some sort, sort of derelict looking buildings which are just perfect for around this quarry area. So we've positioned them, but they're not maybe the final positions, but we're thinking sort of those positions to put them in. And now they're in, it's looking a lot more railway down this end and a lot nicer looking. So as we come round, you will see the bank is starting to fill out with some planting. We've got some stone crop on here, which has actually come off a roof of a family member's that was causing problems on their roof, so we've taken it off and brought it here, and it is loving life. We've actually split it in quite a few places, so you'll see it show up all over the place. But we looked it up and that's what it's called, stone crop.
Gold moss stone crop, I think.
Gold moss stone crop, well there we go.
I think.
There are a couple of heathers in here, and you'll see these are just spare ones from down that end, but we'll talk about those later. They're not where they're going, they're just stored there for the minute. Again, there's bits of moss and all sorts that we've picked out of different places and split that's on this bank.
So this moss was found in a plant pot at the front.
Yep.
It's some sort of variation of Irish moss, I think. It's happy anyway.
Yeah. So this sort of area of the line, it will look mostly like this, but we keep sort of moving it and doing things. Obviously over winter the soil level has dropped, so you'll notice sort of some of the soil down this bit, and especially as we get further down, looks like it's been dug up, and that's because it has. I've just been adding some soil in as and when it's been dry enough to do it, just to bring the level back up, which we expected it to drop because obviously it settles in and things like that. So that's expected. We have Lectinella?
I think so.
Yep.
If that's wrong, I'll put it on screen.
Yeah. But that again, bought a few of these and it's just spreading out on this bank.
It's loving life. I don't know whether I can
so
show
we
it
keep
on the
splitting
camera,
it.
but there's little bits of ferny bits appearing all over the place.
Yeah, she's looking great. Our Acer obviously died back and is now regrowing, which is good to see. So it's got the buds and it will come back hopefully in the next month or so. And yeah, again, just more soil on these sections here. But other than that, track work all down this end is pretty much the same.
I don't think anything's changed.
No, we have been running a few trains around, just testing it, tweaking bits and pieces like that. But on the whole, all this section's working really well. So yeah, so we'll go a bit further down the bank. If I can just push that camera back there. Back up, camera, back up.
Harder to reverse than you think.
The moss bank is filling out really well. The only problem we have is that birds like to come and pick it off, so I keep having to pick it up from further down the garden, as is evidenced by these sort of areas. But that does mean that it's kind of, I can fill in gaps and it's filling out quite nicely.
It is.
So that's doing quite well. As you can see, we've put some soil in, again on the top bits here. Quite rough soil, to be honest, it's just what I had. So it all wants breaking down and things like that, so it looks a bit rough at the minute, but it'll all blend in. As we come down the bank, we have a not so good looking section. So this was lawn chamomile that we put on here, and it hasn't liked this. There is one or two plants still growing, or regrowing, but on the whole it didn't like this spot.
It hasn't done what we hoped it would do.
No.
No.
But then even when we planted it, it didn't grow as well as the section down there, which we'll have a look at in a second. So we're going to have to come up with a different plan for this bit, which we've not 100% sure on yet. But
there are
again,
ideas.
we'll see what other sections look like. At the back, everything else is looking good. It needs some soil on at the back, but we'll get there. The next section, which is the Irish moss, is looking good. It's probably wanting to be split soon.
It's starting to branch out and put little plants out.
Yeah, so we'll probably break it apart and spread it out a bit more. Just redo the soil on this section a little bit, profile it, but that's looking good. We're happy with that section. The next one on was again lawn chamomile, which that end is looking alright-ish. This end's not doing so well, so again we'll probably have to come up with a different idea for this section, but we'll let you know when we get there. What we have done during the winter is block up the tunnel mouth. So let's go have a closer look at that. So as we've spoken about before, this is just a scenic tunnel mouth that we've put in, a bit like the line used to go this way, but we wanted to block it up. So when I installed this, I talked about a piece of slate, and that's what's actually down the back of this. And then on the front, I've put some scale bricks. I'll put a link in the description to where these came from. I've used them in the past. And they've been put on the front. We've put 3D printed door in there as well, and sort of done it off a few pictures I'd found online as a rough idea what it is. How I put this together was, first I marked out where the actual thing was on the slate, so I put it down the back and scribed it in just so I knew where I was building to. That meant then I could build it in the garage during winter where it was slightly warmer. What I then did was lay some double-sided tape, so like carpet tape is what we had, on, cut it round for the arc, and start then to just place the bricks on and basically wall it laid flat so that all the bricks were there, cut them, put a bit of a stone lintel in that I managed to cut up with a saw, and put all that in place. I could then keep moving bricks around if I needed to, because it was just taped on, it's not fixed. Once that was all done, I then used some grout. It was some grout we already had, but effectively it's tile or mosaic grout. I think we got it.
Yeah, it's really fine grout.
Something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why the colours may be slightly light, because I used what I had, but it'll darken up as it's weathered in. But yeah, basically I just spread that over the top, and just like you're grouting tiles normally, you can then just sort of use a sponge and a bit of a brush and things and just brush it off the brick face. I had to do it a few times, wet it and just do it again, because obviously it's quite easy to move the bricks, so you've just got to be really careful and do it slowly. But that's how I got that built. And then door, just 3D printed, bit of weathering on it, sits in there. And once all the plants and everything have grown up round it, we'll probably put this track in pretty soon as well, ballast that, all blend in, and it will just be a place you can put a bit of stock sat on the side. Because that's in place, that meant we could then fill the back here with soil, which is what we've got, and then we've put the shrub that we had up here, which is emerald green, because I'm cheating and reading it.
I'll put it on screen, as usual.
And that just nicely sits up the top here, and we might put something else down the back, but it's just nicely finished off this area. I've still got to do something with the back of here, but I have some ideas for that still. And one of the comments in one of the videos actually was make a stairs up for this end, which I quite like, so I'll have a go at that at some point. There will be more of this black edging strip, which is going to come up onto the back here, so that the soil and everything will fill in up here, and again you won't see the brick wall, which will just finish that off. And again, a bit more soil on here, walls to put in, but all just little jobs just to finish it all off. The other winter project though, which has been the major one, let's say, and probably the major headache for me actually, is just over here. So let's go look at what I've come up with. Now that's clever. I mean, it took a hell of a lot of work. So what you're looking at here is our winter project that's caused me the most pain, let's face it. It's the actual build of the bridge wasn't too bad, so the bit we're looking at here. That went fairly well. There's maybe some not great joints on it and things that don't look too close, but that bit worked really well. What came to be the troublesome bit, and what still is, evidenced by the bits of string, is the linkages and the counterweight system. So I wanted to come up with something a bit different, and I've always found that when you have a lifting bridge in railways, it always gets abused because people drop it down and things like that. So I wanted something that was easy to lift, easy to put back down, would sort of look after itself, which is what I wanted to do with this. However, I've made my life difficult once again by having this gauntlet track system that we have over it. So at this end of the bridge it needs to be wider because we've got to factor in that the track's coming off a wider point, it's spreading out. At this end, however, it's curving onto the bridge, but it's not quite single track because it's gauntlet track, but it's narrower. So I can't have a big wide bridge because it wouldn't line up that end. It's also at an angle, which means this kicks off into the path. So it caused me a number of problems. So I had to come up with this design that was compact enough to fit all in, wouldn't interfere with the path, fit the locos past, and have enough loading gauge that anything can run. And loading gauge, we looked at number of locos and talked to friends, and actually the height of this is set off a Accucraft Shay, 3-cylinder Shay, which is the tallest thing with the little thing on top of the chimney to catch the oil and things. So hopefully everything will run underneath it. Does mean that it looks slightly high, but I don't know, it looks about in proportion. I think I've got away with it. So there's some things temporary still on it. Obviously the string needs to be replaced. We've got some parts coming for that. It will be probably steel wire that we're going to go with because of how to make the linkage work and things. But this distance is critical. You've got to get this perfect. Now there's a couple of ways of doing that. You can have this distance here the same as this distance here, and that will mean that whatever the bridge angle's at, the counterweight angle's at. However, we've done it slightly different. So if I lift it up, what you'll notice is the bridge is actually going further than the counterweight is. And we've done that because as you're walking through this section of the bridge, which is underslung because we can't have it above because of the spread out tracks, I didn't want you to walk into it. If it was further straight, it would be here and you might have a risk of walking into it. So I wanted it to go slightly over 90, but the counterweight is at 90 because the counterweight, which at the minute is temporary lead, just so I can fiddle about with the weight of it and things, that wants to be perfectly 90. So if you adjust this and make this slightly shorter, you can achieve that being slightly over. But we're talking millimetres, if not less, of change here. Makes a hell of a difference to the angles. So it takes quite a bit to get that angle right.
Hence the string.
Hence the string. But what you'll notice is it actually, the weight is holding the bridge in position. It's not sat against the frame. Which is quite a nice little feature.
I don't know whether I can show that. So it's
yeah,
balancing on the string rather than...
Yeah, the weight is actually keeping it in exactly that position because it wants to start to pull the weight back up as you go further across. The other thing we wanted to achieve was that when you come to put it back down, it has a soft close. And there was numerous ways of doing this. You could perfectly balance the bridge with the weight, but your problem with that is as the bridge goes up, it actually gets lighter as the weight transfers onto here, which means from this point on it would be yanking it out your hand, and we didn't want that. Plus it would mean a heck of a lot of weight at this end.
Oh yeah, like at least twice I think what's on there at the minute.
Yeah.
Something like 8 kilograms I think.
And you've got to have all that above your loco. Fit it all in was the main problem. So we thought of numerous ideas of how to do it, but actually in the end it was quite obvious. If you want soft close, you get a soft closer. And that's exactly what this bridge has. 4 of them, in fact, and again they're in a temporary sort of state of fixment at the minute while we test it and make sure it works. But these are kitchen cabinet soft closers. Very
hinge side
soft closers, so they're the very stiff ones. And that means that as the bridge comes down, it hits the point that they go in and nicely closes. We might put a 5th one on, I'm not 100% sure yet. It's that balancing act between having it nicely soft close and somebody opening it and trying to shut it because a loco is approaching and it not wanting to shut because the soft closers are making it go slow. So we don't want people to run into the end of it because somebody's tried to nip through a bit too tight. But yeah, the main problem has been getting the right parts, mainly because I bought parts for doing this linkage and bought 4 of them.
Yeah.
Took the first one out of the packet, thought, oh, that's bigger than I thought, okay, that's the size of it. Designed everything off that, to then realise that that one was actually incorrect, and that all the other 3 were correct. And I couldn't blame the seller, because actually the packet it was in was correct. It was the manufacturer that got it wrong. They were quite expensive, took quite a long time for me to get, so I've decided that I'm just not going to go with them anyway. I'm going to go with a slightly different linkage system and how to build it, which is coming soon. But I'll show you an update on that once it's finished. And also we've got to obviously sort the lead counterweight to look a lot nicer than it is. But it's just nice to have it to this stage where it's now working.
Well, yeah, you can let go of it from higher up than that and it will slow down.
Yep.
Not perfect, it does bang a little bit, but...
Yeah. The other thing we're going to have to just think about at some point, at the minute it's nicely coming down in line because of how we've
yeah, I don't know
ground
if I can
out
show that if you
slots.
lift it up.
So we've made some slots in here with the angle grinder really carefully and a chisel, and so that actually lines with the aluminium. But there is a little bit of slop in it, so what we're probably going to have to do is have something on this wall with a V-slot in it, so when it comes down it centres it for you and lines it up. And that'll also mean then if the bridge just gets a tweak, it'll always realign, because obviously with aluminium it has a little bit of flex in it. But the other thing you'll spot with the counterweight end to compensate for the curved track is that this support brace is actually offset to one side, so that gets us the clearance down this side.
Can't really show it on the camera. If I line it up with this one, you'll see that there's an angled piece.
But your
in the back
counterweight on top has to be in line with the bridge ones, because otherwise you're going to be splaying out and doing all sorts of weird things with the linkage. So that's in there to clear that track. And yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this has been months in the making. Just on evenings when it wasn't too cold.
Yeah.
Putting rivets in aluminium.
Well, there you go. We've got a lifting bridge in, and we'll show you some updates later on as to how it's been finished off. You alright, Heather? Heather's, obviously. So, we've filled this bank. Lots and lots of heathers. There's a few other alpine plants on here as well.
I'm not even sure they show up very well because they're so tiny.
Yeah, they are just little plug heathers, just because that was the cheapest way to put a load on a bank, and hopefully this year
72 of them.
Yeah, it's quite a lot, but we thought it will just fill out that bank and they'll grow up. We've also got this some sedum of some sort that the name will appear
it is
there.
Loving life. It's one of the first plants that went in, really.
Yep.
And it's just happy.
It's quite happy down there. But yeah, we've dotted a few other things about as well. But that's all looking good. This one that has grown absolutely hugely.
Yeah, I didn't realise at the time. It's an aubrietta, and I didn't realise at the time they did that. But it's
that's
nice.
Loving life as well. There's a few slightly larger heathers and things that we put in already that you've all seen as well.
There's something there.
Yeah, there's something just appearing here as well.
I can't remember what that was.
Bits and pieces there. We've also got some on top of the waterfall, just up the top here, which again the name will.
It's Phlox subulata.
Phlox, that's the one. That's the word. So this, in theory, should spread out long tendrils, sort of thing, and we're hoping it will sort of go down onto the waterfall and and just sort of cover this area. Hopefully it might go backwards a bit as well. For the minute we've just piled a load of stones and things,
decorative stones,
wash stones just on top of here just to hide the tunnel a little bit. We might plant it at some point, but while we're still track testing and we need to ballast inside the tunnel and things like that as well, these are just sat on here so we can still get access if need be.
And there's another bit of arboreata in the corner there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
some
so
more
they'll go
of
out.
the stone whatever it's called, stone crop
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah, that's dotted all over here. Waterfall working beautifully, still running really well.
Yeah.
So we run that when we're set out here and things. That's running well. Pond's all looking good.
It is.
There's
some things have survived, some things haven't.
yeah, some things didn't take, other things have, but we keep just doing bits and pieces to it. The lily that we've got in there is starting to sprout right down on the bottom.
Yeah, I won't be able to show you that.
No, that'll come back
The
up.
corkscrew rush is loving
Yes.
life.
Yeah, that seems to.
There's something with white
Keep
flowers
going.
growing in it, or unless it's that. I don't know.
Not sure.
There might be
The
something
other
else in
thing
there
you'll
too.
start to see, there's a few. These
Yeah,
ones
it's-
haven't taken as well because they're out of the sunlight as well.
It's better around the other side.
But yeah, as you come round the corner, you will see we've just stuck a load of these in. And when these went in, they weren't this big, or rather, they weren't sort of
I'm not really sure.
yeah
which-
growing outwards
Oh,
anyway. But yeah, you get to see the idea. Some of the moss has died back. It's probably just too dry for it. But as more of these take, it'll sort of spread out. And what we're trying to keep doing is just stuffing things in these gaps so it'll all bed in. But
Bit
yeah,
more up there.
bit more up there, bit more there. I think and that's a different one. That might be a different
No,
one
I think
that's
it was
that's
the
in there.
combination of moss and stone crop
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, can't remember what that is, but that's
It's a
happy.
geranium, I think.
All right. There's also we've put some stuff round. We've put some soil in around this filter
I'm
lid,
not
so
gonna be able to show
we've
that.
still got to. Yeah, I'm not going to flip this over because it's full of water, but that will be planted as well once we get that far. And a few more heathers and bits and pieces.
Various
on that
ferns
section.
don't look quite so healthy.
Yeah, ferns. We're thinking this side's probably just too sunny for them, which we expected. But we thought we'd try them. We might try a bit bigger planting and things in this corner to give a bit of shade. We'll see how it goes. But yeah,
Little
That's there.
things, there's some little things. I think that one's Edelweiss that's coming up there, and
Yeah.
I don't know what the one in the middle is.
no. Again, name will appear here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, if camera wants to go backwards a bit,
Ooh.
let's talk a little bit of what we might do this year, and it is a might. So we have here some rather large sleepers that make great seats, as it turns out. But the plan is sort of what we're doing here. So these are just sat in, obviously, for now. But the plan will be to come off this wall end with the sleeper. We will cut it slightly shorter because there'll be a pillar in the middle, which will be around here, sort of mark. And this one's going to be a stone pillar to match those. Might be a bit rougher. We'll see what we make it out of. And then the second sleeper will come off of that one. So obviously it'll be shorter, so it'll be there. Then another sleeper into this corner. And these sleepers are on a gradient uphill, so we are coming up, and you can see our screws in the fence here to show us that. When we get into this corner, we then are going to come onto a brick wall, which is going to go down this side. So again, give you an idea, brick wall down here, up. You can just about see some screws.
I
onto this
think
side.
that's about the right height, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. So 4 sleepers that we've managed to get hold of. So the plan with these ones is a little bit different. I'll come to that in a second. So these bricks that we've just placed down here, showing the
yeah.
curve of the wall coming round to take you off that side. So this is all 4 foot radius again. So the idea with this section is to have these sleepers get across the fence line. This bit down this side is going to be walled at the back, walled partially at the front, but we're going to stand some sleepers up. And that is because when we got all the bricks for doing that end of the railway, we got a few too many. It's quite hard to judge how many you're going to need, especially when you keep changing plans. So we've got some left over, and we think we've actually got enough left over to do this side plus a little bit over there, which we'll talk about in a second, but not enough to wall it all the way. Plus we don't really want it all brick because it doesn't look as good. So these sleepers, or two of them, can stand upright in a section as a sort of retaining one to save on bricks, really, planted behind with the railway going through it. It doesn't make any sense. Once we do it, you'll understand. But that's the idea with that section.
Well, you're going to have one stood up.
Yes,
in parts.
yeah, there'll be one, yeah, so the third one stands up to retain it, which is where it sits again so that it doesn't fall out when you put the saw behind it. But anyway, that's the gist of that. This is all possible this year, but whether we'll do it, we're not 100% sure, because
there's a lot of other things
we need to
happening
finish
this
a
year.
lot of things on that end, so it depends how far we get this way.
Yeah.
But opportunity to get these came up, so we acquired them.
Yeah, I love these.
Knowing
I
this
really
was
do.
the plan. Yeah, they've
I
now
love
they've been
the,
out in the.
I love the just chair detail on them.
Yeah. So we'll
Which
try
could
and
be fun for.
try and maintain that as much as possible, but
the
obviously you've got to get
tractor
your tractor run across it, so we'll just have to see. But I want to try and keep it where I can. So yeah, that comes down to here.
Yeah, these ones
And
definitely have to
then-
have it on the outside showing.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you come down here, and once again, curved section in this corner with the bricks, because we want to introduce another area to steam up, which will be down this side, which we've talked about before early on. But there'll be a steam up area here.
Currently the stone yard.
Yeah. Fence probably going to move slightly further back. We'll go into that detail when we get there, but that gives you an idea. So we need to have enough bricks to do this section, that section, and bits and pieces, which we think we have.
We did try and count it, and I think we do. There's
Yeah,
quite a
but
few left.
we might change geometry and how we build things like that. Anyway, we'll work it out. And then the line, as we promised early on, will then disappear through into the front, which plan to keep changing for what we're going to do in the front. Roughly the same as what we originally talked about, but slightly more improved. But that's way in the future, so it'll probably change again, so we're not going to talk about it now. But that gives you a rough idea of what we're going to do down this end, what materials we've got, where the sun shines, because the other bit we've got to do down that end of the railway, which isn't railway related, is sort out paths and things like that. So I'll show you a quick little view of that,
Yeah.
and then that should be the summary where we're at done. Then we can get on with some work. As you can see, this path isn't ideal. It was temporary, or certainly this section was. These are actually bedded on because that's where they were originally when we bought the place. But this path was just left while we did the work because we knew we were going to have to sort it. So this section needs doing, but we need it to dry out first because it's quite wet and I don't want to be digging in that. But what we did manage to do towards the end of last year,
It is.
yeah. What we did manage to do towards the end of last year was the section up to here. So this is done as we want, and you can see how we're going to finish it off with gravel each side. And what this does is it just gives us some drainage, because obviously, as you can see from back there is quite a lot of water around here, and it protects the house walls, or garage wall in this case, because it gives it somewhere to drain, and this side as well, because we don't want this all just flooding, especially going into the grass as well, and then it's puddly to when you come to want to play trains. But putting the gravel down also means that if you're bringing a truck or something down and you get off the side, you're not going to sink into something or take plants out. You can run over the gravel, and you can step off the line as well to let people pass, because it is only just going to be one width path. But obviously when you get to this point, you can split off and go through the garden or carry on down. So I think I spoke before, these ones need cementing in, which is probably going to be the next job. Cement these in, then obviously once the bridge is finished, this bit's then sort of completed. and then we can carry on with the path down there. But with this being at the back of the house, it only gets the sun at the minute in spring towards the late afternoon, so it's just not drying out. So hopefully
the sun's not around here yet.
yeah, hopefully in a couple of weeks this will be dry enough that we can dig the rest of the path off. So if you don't see any videos for a while, it's because I'm probably doing this and you're guessing you probably don't want to watch me lay a path, because it's not really railway related.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you want a bit of footage of that in the next video, and we'll try and
we
get
can put
some.
a little bit in.
But it's not that interesting.
No. And I'm not very quick at it. But we'll get that bit done, and then that just makes a lot smarter around here as well to do that. And I think that's about where we're at following our winter work. Thank you. and yeah, and then we can get on with this year. So other things we want to do this year will be possibly the arches on the steam up area down there, and getting that bit finished off so we can have another line
very
down
empty
there.
little flat platform down there. Yes.
Yeah, if we can get that bit done, we probably won't do the dam front of things, but we can get the arches cast on, at least we can get the track on top, is the plan with that. Obviously allow the plants to grow up and do bits down here. If I can get the walling in on the pass and loop section down here, that'll also be good, because at the minute it's just sat in, but I can just finish this bit off, get some more soil on once I've got some dry soil, and finish that bit off, and then that then means that the plants can grow in their sort of final position. I don't really have to keep moving them, and yeah, just finish bits off basically, so that we can enjoy it. Well, we're already enjoying it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there'll be a little bit less progress over the next sort of month or two, just because it's show season starting, and that takes over everything.
Yeah. So of course, myself and Nikki run SLR models, mainly Nikki, and so we're involved in getting all the stock ready for all you wonderful people for that. And yeah, that means I'm not going to be out doing as much in the garden, but I will try when weather permits and bits and pieces like that.
It's still a little bit too cold to be doing it at the minute anyway.
But we will have videos coming soonish.
I'm not going to promise when.
But for now, that's a wrap. I didn't get all of it. You alright, Heather? Sorry. I can't.